guess the next thing would be a theme. It's going to be the theme of water.
Waters, the waters within us. Yes. So at the same time of signing up for the great work and learning to achieve the out of body state, Darius doesn't just teach us how to achieve the out of body state, he teaches us how to access our dormant abilities. And so part of that is learning to heal ourselves, right? So I took one of his workshops. It was called the Frequency Workshop, where it talked about like the original baptism and sound and how sound can heal. And, you put sand on a tray and you vibrate it to a certain frequency and it makes this beautiful design, right? Why is that? And how is that? And how can we use this to affect the cells in our own body? And so when I talk about the will of the soul and the spoken word, those are one and the same. The spoken word is the will of the soul, which is your belief in it and the knowing of, which is the placebo. We are the placebo effect. And so I had diabetes type 2. I was super overweight. I was over 200 pounds. I felt unhealthy. I was tired all the time, right? Sleeping. If I wasn't at work, I was sleeping, just exhausted and just felt like crap all of the time. Well, after watching that workshop, I started thinking about what this means. And so I put it to the test. I decided to believe I don't have diabetes anymore. I'm done with it. And I did. I knew that I could do this with all of my being. I knew. So I threw my insulin in the trash and I said, no more diabetes. I'm done. And even the next day, I was feeling maybe a little bit empowered, but I was feeling better. And each day that moved forward, I started feeling better and better. And then I started noticing like, my pants feel a little big on me. I need to go buy new pants. I need a new belt. I started dropping weight like that. And I dropped 40 pounds in like maybe just under a year, something like that. And every 3 months, I would go and get my blood drawn to test my A1C. So an A1C is your blood sugar over a 3-month period. And so when my A1C was a 12.9, which is an average blood sugar of like the mid to high 300s, that's when they put me on insulin. Well, wouldn't you know, after deciding I didn't have it anymore, it was maybe 2 or so months later that it was time for me to go get my blood drawn again. I went in there and my A1C was a 5.5, which is normal. And I was like, holy crap. When I went again 3 months later, it was like a 6 point something. They say anything above a 5.5 is like pre-diabetes, and then it would be back down to a 5 point something. And so it had been fluctuating between 5.5 and like 6.7 or something like that. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I did it. I'm done. And so I was also getting prescribed tablets. It's called metformin, and that's also for diabetes. And I threw those in the trash. I'm like, well, I don't need this anymore. I don't have diabetes anymore. And my doctor was just like, you stop taking your insulin and your A1C is a 5.5. She's like, well, I was going to say, I don't think this is a good idea, but I don't know. and so I never changed the way I ate. I never overate. I never ate like a lot of sugar, a lot of sweets, things like that. I never really like pigged out on bad things. I've always eaten pretty healthily. And the reason I think I got diabetes to begin with is because I was programmed that I was going to get diabetes. So I was told growing up, you have to be careful. Your grandfather has diabetes. Your aunt has diabetes. Diabetes is on both sides of the family. So basically programming me, not intentionally, but unintentionally programming me to believe that I could get diabetes to begin with. And so I broke that cycle by changing my beliefs. And I would go into meditation and talk to the cells in my body, talk to my pancreas, tell them that they are gods, they are the light, they are the beginning and the end, right? I am a soul that's wearing this body temporarily, and I dictate the health of this body. And I learned to love myself. I had never loved myself before, but I could actually, and it sounds corny, look at myself in the mirror and say, I love you. You are a God. You are beauty. You are an eternal soul. And I just completely changed the way I spoke, the way I thought. You have to be it. So when you want to make a change like this, when you want to heal yourself, you have to be it. Be in that unconditional love frequency, because that's what unconditional love is. It's not an action, it's a state of being, it's a frequency, it's who we are. And I experienced this firsthand out of my body. I had this experience where I stepped out of my body and I was 100% conscious. And I felt so much love. Like I looked at my hands and my arms and they were like this light blue silver color. And I knew it right then and there. This is me. This is who I am and what I am. And I felt so much love and power. I felt like I could do anything and be anything. Fly, there was no limit. This was myself without borders, boundaries, and limitations. This is it. And so after that experience, on top of everything else I was working on, I knew it. This is who I am. And I don't have to settle for anything else. Like I've changed like types of music I listen to, right? I don't listen to a lot of the new age stuff anymore because it's structurally built to tear down our cells. Some of the music that they put out on the radio stations, it's on purpose. It's strategic because the healthcare system is just the same as the big bank cartels. It's a money system for the controllers to keep us sick, to keep us enslaved to medicine and the pharmaceutical companies. It's wild. And when you can break that cycle and realize who you are and that you don't need to subscribe to this anymore, it's over.
Well, that is amazing. The notion that you can decide yourself that you're going to heal yourself in that way. And like I said earlier, you went to the other side, so you knew, you had a knowing there was more to you than just this physical body. And so you knew you could come back and heal things. And it's funny when you say, I looked into the mirror and I say, I love you and you're a God. I don't know if you're looking at the physical amber or maybe looking in the mirror into your eyes, into your soul, saying, I love that is I, that is the soul, that is eternal, that is a God. And you're so convinced because you know that, because you've experienced that. But you also are realizing that, you're also animating, some people call it a meat suit, sort of on this side to have a particular experience. And so you honor that experience. But if you look straight into those eyes, into the mirror, you can say, I am so much more and I feel love. I also loved what you talked about in there because the pharmaceutical company, maybe some religion sort of worked in there, as you talked about earlier, is kind of to control you. Frequency is everything. I think it's like A used to be 432 hertz, which would resonate with the body, and they turned in the note A into 440. Everybody growing up in the music system would tune to A440. Well, that was destructive, A432, I believe that it is the thing that resonates well and can rebuild and really nourish you well. So what a lot you've learned in that to heal yourself.